going on here.
Mom life is not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Hello.
Hello.
Everybody.
Hello.
We are just trying out some new things. So if you can't hear us, I'm sorry. We're sharing iPhone headphones and we're sharing a mic.
Whoop, whoop. It's gonna be great.
All this fancy equipment that we just don't know how to use properly. So we're cutting it down to one thing that we share. But
Yeah.
we're sitting right beside each other.
We can share. We teach our kids to share. We can share. It'll be all right.
We missed you last week. Did you listen to the one with Mom?
I listened to some of it, and then I was like, I was in bed when I was listening to it, and I was like falling asleep, and I was like,
It's the sound
but
of
it's
my
on
voice.
pause.
It's so
It is soothing. It's on pause on my, but I did watch most of it.
Yeah, that was like a last minute little thing.
fun.
But I'm glad I got to do that with her. I think that was
Yeah.
something different, and I was not planning on doing it over the phone. But you know,
Hey,
that's
it
what we
worked
do around
out.
here.
Yeah.
You just
Wing it.
wing it. That's what it should be called. We're just winging it.
Seriously.
That's the name of this podcast.
That's my motto in life, too.
Just wing it. Just fake it till you make it. I think we've said that before too.
Absolutely. Faking
So,
it, yes. Until we make
Well, yeah, you went on a trip and
we went to Missouri to see some family.
your kid got sick.
Super
Story
sick.
of a mom.
Yep.
Can't
She
even
was
go on
just-
vacation.
How many times did I catch her throw up? Anybody want to guess? There's
We,
a couple.
we were joking because what time did you get here? 3?
Yep.
She
Around
got
3.
She got it at 3, and we just sat down and started recording because I'm pretty sure we did an entire separate podcast just sitting there talking to each other.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that was like one that not meant for public ears. It's just
Yeah.
between us. But it just goes to show that that's what gave us the idea to do this in the first place.
For
It's because
sure.
when we sit down and talk, we don't shut up.
Right.
We just go on and on and on and on and on about things we're passionate about,
Yeah.
we're frustrated about, or
just so
irritated
much.
about.
Everything.
Oh my gosh. No, but we talked about, I think even not last week, but the week before, we had talked about doing something a little more lighthearted, and that's not what this is.
Nope, sorry.
It's not lighthearted, but I will say that, and I told her this when she got here, I almost told her, forget it, like I can't do it today. I was overwhelmed. My stomach's been kind of meh, and I was having just like a stressed mom day. Like it wasn't.
Same.
And you know what's sad though is I don't even think I'd consider the whole day. It's like a decent, like a couple hours if they're stressful of your day, it makes you say your whole day's bad.
yes.
And it hasn't been the whole day.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we had a great morning.
Honestly, even 5 minutes can make you feel
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the worst day.
Exactly. But he would not go down for a nap. Like I was trying to get ready to do this, and it was like maybe an hour to 2 hours of stress. Mm-hmm. And when I say stress, like my kid was an angel. He wasn't even like crying. He just didn't want to take a nap.
Yeah.
But it stressed me out because I plan what I'm doing around his naps. Like we
Right.
talked about that too. Like you have to, as a mom, decide, okay, if assuming he takes an hour nap, he might not, what can I get done in that hour?
Right.
And you can sit and do nothing. Mm-hmm. I can't sit and do nothing when I have other things to do.
Even when you do, you're like, you'll never know when your me time is up. Like you don't get to
never know.
decide, I only get 20 minutes or I get an hour. No, it just depends when
And
they
there's
wake up.
usually like things like, all right, do I want to wait and eat lunch when they go to sleep so I can eat in peace? Do I want to shower so I can shower in peace? Do I want to watch TV in peace?
Do I want to take a nap? Like, do I just want to rest my eyes?
Or are there things that just have to be done that like I can only do any naps? And today I really needed to take a shower, and so I was able to shower and like get ready a little bit, and then he woke up an hour early, so I just like got us ready. Kami got here, and when she got here, I said, "Can we just sit for a minute while I eat?" I was like, "I haven't eaten, and I'm starving." So it's just, anyways. I almost told her no, like I can't do it today. Just which is silly looking back, because like I obviously got through it. He's fine. I'm fine. Everything got done.
Still.
But it seemed appropriate that I felt like that. Which I don't know that I would call it a postpartum moment. It was probably just a mom moment. I don't know. I don't really know the spectrum of postpartum, which is what we're going to kind of talk about today.
I feel like I've read somewhere that it can last for at least like up to 2 years, like, or
Oh,
even
yeah.
more maybe.
Well, based on some of the feedback I got today,
Longer.
yeah. I mean,
sometimes I'm still like, am I still postpartum depression?
you
Like,
could be.
what?
I mean, but it's really like, it just felt, even when I was in the shower today and he was napping and I was like trying to wash my hair and everything, I do a lot of my thinking in the shower. Do you?
I do mine like when I'm trying to fall asleep,
Oh, yeah. Well,
or
yeah,
like
me
when I'm
too.
driving.
Mm-hmm. I do too. For some reason, especially in the shower, I think about a lot of stuff. And I could not like get this story off my mind. I couldn't get this topic off my mind. And it was like all these thoughts just kept coming into my head about it that I was like, we talked about how to talk out loud. I was talking out loud. That's how I process my thoughts. By talking like a crazy person in the shower to the loofah.
Hello, loofah. It's Ashton. Nice to see you again.
How do you feel about this? But I just was like, no, like, I really want to talk about this. Because we've touched on postpartum before. This is a podcast about being a mom. Obviously, we've talked about it. But it's a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
It's a really big hot topic, which I think is great. It should be.
It is, yeah. It's almost like moms are finally realizing that, oh, hey, I'm not the only one who goes through this. Or, hey, I'm not the only one who thinks these things.
And I'll start out with the reason that I wanted to talk about this, because I got some feedback from, like, other people online and stuff, but what sparked me wanting to talk about this was the blow up on social media about Lindsay Clancy.
So that was recent?
Yeah, I don't know the exact date on it, but I know it was recent. I heard about it through social media. Like, it popped up on my timeline, and I was like, what are all these people talking about? And I kept seeing people sharing posts about postpartum more, and I was like, something happened. It was kind of like a
wake-up call.
Do you remember when that pastor killed himself, and it was like everybody was talking about it, and nobody could believe it because he was just like pastor with like 3 kids. He was young, and I remember like that kind of got everybody talking about suicide awareness more. And even if you're a Christian, like you need to watch out for your friends. That's sort of how this was. I feel like, and it's kind of blown up. But I wanted, for those of you who don't know the story, because I had to read a little about it to make sure I was correct in some of this. I've got like a little overview that I'll read about it, but it says, Lindsay Clancy, 32 years old, was previously arrested on 2 counts of murder after she strangled and killed her 5-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son inside their suburban home. Law enforcement arrived on the day in question because Lindsay Clancy had attempted to kill herself by jumping out of an upstairs window. She was hospitalized under the guard of police due to charges that were filed against her. She is being treated for cuts to her wrists and neck. The 2 children were found dead Tuesday in a response to a 911 call from her husband after she leaped from the 2nd story and hurt herself. Her 7-month-old son survived the attack and remained hospitalized, clinging to his life for 3 days. He died Friday. And then it just says officers discovered all 3 children unconscious with obvious signs of severe trauma. It's unclear if and when Lindsay Clancy, a former labor and delivery nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital, will have a 3rd murder charge filed against her. She's expected to be arraigned this week once she is released from the hospital. It says at the end of this, according to a report in the Boston Globe, approximately 6 months ago, Clancy, the girl, posted on Facebook that she had struggled with postpartum anxiety, but her focus on physical and mental fitness had made all the difference. So, this was, obviously I don't know this person.
Right.
We don't know her. We'll never know the full story. But from someone who was a labor and delivery nurse, this was her 3rd child. She obviously likes kids. I mean, I would assume. You know what I mean? I mean, really. Like, I feel like if you're going to have a 3rd child, like, unless maybe it was an oopsie, you clearly want children. It was your plan. And it seems like from, like, what her husband said, that she was a very, like, loving, vibrant, like not this was not an act of evil in his eyes. And he even posted that he'd forgiven her, which I can't even imagine. I mean,
whoa,
yeah, to forgive the person who killed all of your children. I mean, it's a very dark topic. Like, that is a very extreme case. But I think the reason there's such an uproar about it is because this person was seemingly not evil. I mean, I don't know another word. I don't think there was malice in her heart. Like, I don't think she hated her children.
She just, like, snapped.
It's like postpartum, what do they call it? Postpartum psychosis. And it was like you said, like, she just snapped. Like, and obviously she was open about it because she posted about it on Facebook, but
sounds like she needed to go see her doctor.
Well, I read another article. I wish I'd saved it, but she she went to the ICU or emergency room or something, and like they like couldn't get her in. Like, basically, she just was not being treated for it the way she should have been. And forgive me because there's probably a lot of information I'm neglecting to say. I didn't do a ton of research because, as I said, my day was a little crazy. But I just wanted to get the overview of the story just to kind of see what we were dealing with here. And just based on a lot of things I've read, I just don't, like, I feel like there's people historically that you can look at that you're like, they're evil. Like there was malice in their heart. Yeah, there's a sickness in their head. We talked about that when we touched on Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff like that. But this woman just sounds like she was sick.
And how old was her youngest kid?
7 months.
7 months.
Is that, let me make sure that's right. 7 months. I mean, assuming postpartum, let's just assume for argument's sake, postpartum depression lasts for the first year. Well, she'd still be in it. And she had 2 kids before as well. But I can't.
Look, you're going to make me cry again. I can already tell.
Oh, I was getting emotional reading it just because.
I literally just tried to like desensitize
a little bit.
Yes,
yeah.
But it's not working.
Because as a mother, your heart aches for those children.
Absolutely.
Obviously. I don't even want to touch on how they felt in that moment.
Well, it's like after you hurt or kill the first one, like you would think you'd kind of like snap back to reality. Right. Like, but I wonder if she was like, holy cow, I can't believe I did that to my kids. Like,
is it wrong that in a way I'm glad she survived because I would like someone to talk. I want someone to talk to her. Like,
oh, for sure.
I want to hear because that could potentially help other women who have gotten to a scary point of postpartum depression.
And it's not just like, when woman has a baby and she's all crazy. No, it's like hormones.
Right.
Like there's a hormone imbalance, like chemical, like so many things happen to your body, literally. Yeah. Like women's feet grow after like they're pregnant and their hair changes color. Like,
that's something that I was thinking about when I was in the shower. I was like, everyone on this planet, men and women alike, we're all genetically modified, totally different. Genetically modified. That makes it sound like we're like made in a lab. That's not really what I mean. But just genetically, our brains, we are all different. There is no one person the same. Yeah. And I feel like, does everyone suffer from postpartum? Maybe not. I think a majority of women do. I just think there's ranges.
Well, so interesting. So after I had Riley, like I was like crying all the time, but it was like the happiest tears ever. I was like, oh my goodness, she's so pretty. I love her so much. I can't believe I have this amazing. And I was like over the moon. And like, I had moments where I was like overwhelmed and like maybe a little anxious, like when she was little. Not like, just having anxiety, like
normal,
being
like anxious,
normal, but never
stress.
Like over the top, like crazy where I thought, oh, I have a problem, you know. And then skip to when I had Addie, and I was like, at first I had a really hard time. I was like, I don't even know how to, like, I didn't feel like it was fair. Like, I remember holding Addie and I was like, how am I supposed to love both of these kids equally? And how am I supposed to show Riley how much I love her right now when all of my attention is going to the little one? And I was like struggling. And then I was like, after, like a few months, I was like, I think I'm having like issues. I'm like, this is not like how I felt with Riley. I'm like, crazy. I feel crazy. I can't control myself. Like I was crying all the time, but not the good, cute crying, like the what is wrong with me crying. Yeah. And so then I finally go to my doctor and I was like, I just feel like really overwhelmed all the time. And I was like crying. I was like, I just don't know what to do. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to put you on some or some postpartum, you probably have postpartum stuff. And I was like, no, I don't think that's what this is. And he's like, it is. And I was like, well, how about you give me something that I can take when I'm feeling overwhelmed? He's like, I think I'm going to have to give you something you have to take every day. And I was like, seriously, you think it's that bad? He's like, it sounds that bad. And I'm like, okay. So I took some medicine for a while. It helped a little bit, but it helped a little too much. So I was like, instead of being overly emotional and not knowing how to control myself, I was just like a zombie. Yeah. Like I just literally did not care about anything. I was like, like Riley would be crying and I'd just be looking at her like, I don't really care. Like, what, I was like, yeah, that's probably bad.
Right. I don't know if you saw that I shared on our page was, it was that statistic that someone shared that talks about you have 12 prenatal visits, 7 infant visits, and 1 postpartum visit. Yeah. And that postpartum that's the post that's like going around right now.
Yeah, and it's like 6 weeks after when it's like,
I remember it.
This was months after I had Addie, and I was like, I need help.
I remember going in, and I love Jackson's pediatrician. She's Jackson's pediatrician. Right. Okay, right. I love her though. Yeah. And she talks to me about anything I want to talk to. Like I think she's great. But I do remember going in, and I remember thinking, oh, this question's about me. Okay, you know what I mean? And I think it was at the 6-week appointment. Yeah. And I like went in and. But that's what was unique was, so you had your 6-week appointment with your OBGYN. Right. That's just for you. Right. And I, to be honest with you, I don't really remember. I somewhat recall him maybe asking mentally, like, how I was. And again, my OBGYN's great. If I had told him I'm falling apart, help me, like, he would have.
Right.
I was very lucky
By
that
6
I didn't
weeks,
have...
I didn't know. Like, I think I was just sleep deprived.
I think I was too.
Yeah, and I was
you
just like, yeah, I'm
fine.
Like,
you're just like, yeah. And to be honest with you, like, I was, and I'll be totally straightforward and and this is not a reflection on my husband. Like, this is where my head's at. Okay, let me just say this. I went into that 6-week appointment ready for the green light to have sex again, not because I was ready to have sex again, because I felt like I was being a terrible wife. Oh. So that's like just another, like, that's a whole other section
you were
of how
focused
women
on that.
think. Yeah, like, so like I went into that wanting to ask about the physical aspect of it, because it's like, okay, that's usually when they give you the green light, like, yes, you can, have intercourse again. And so I went in and I had to have stitches and everything. So like I wanted to make sure everything was okay. I think I asked a couple of breastfeeding questions maybe, but and this is not anything bad against my doctor. He might have asked and I just don't remember, but I don't remember talking about mental health.
Yeah.
I don't remember it. But I personally was not really, I wouldn't have considered myself struggling with it either. I think I was pretty average.
At 6 weeks, I think even I was kind of like, I'm just sleep deprived. I'll be fine soon. But
then, I don't know. I think you make a good point that it's like, there needs to be a couple follow-up visits, because when even at 6 weeks, you're just in such a fog. Like,
yeah, you have no, especially after your first one.
You're still figuring out what you're doing. Like, you're definitely not sleeping through the night. Your body is still suffering from trauma.
Right.
Like, I feel like all of that's normal. You're feeling kind of funky. You're dealing. Okay, but let's get past all that into maybe like 6 months.
Yeah.
And let's do another check-in and be like, okay, now where are you at mentally? Like, do you feel like, have you had these thoughts? Like, blah, blah, blah. But I do remember taking Jackson to his pediatric appointment. I don't remember. It might have been around 6 weeks. And there was a form for me. I was like, nice. Oh, this is about me. And it asked, like, have you had these thoughts? Da-da-da-da. And I checked them all honestly. And I remember his doctor still checking in with me, which I appreciated. Yeah. But a lot of pediatricians don't do that. Right. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not their job. Right. They're taking care of your baby. So I do think there needs to be some type of protocol out there where you have as many check-ins with mom as baby. Just, I mean, think so if too. Not, maybe not as many, but close.
Even even if it was over the phone, just have somebody specifically calling moms after 2 months. Hi, how are you? Do you feel like you want to come in? Do you need to talk to somebody? Yeah, something like that.
With like, and even again, I appreciated that little thing they gave me to fill out.
Yeah,
it was a little basic. It was vague, and I feel like if they would make mothers do an in-depth test like that, because a lot of times, again, we're in a fog. We're new to this. Or if you're. Either way, if you're a new mom, whether it's your first or your third, it's still new because you have to figure out how you're functioning with 3 versus when you had 2 or whatever. Yeah, I feel like they should create some type of test that is mandatory for all women who have had children to take at this point, at this point, at this point. And it's like, I don't know where I'm at. My brain is mush. You tell me where I'm at. Yeah. I don't know.
Or tell me what's normal. That was my thing, when I went to go see the doctor. I felt so guilty because I was like, I'm a Christian. I've been praying about it. I don't understand why I'm feeling this way, like why I have so much anxiety. Like, I'm like, Lord, I don't understand. And so when I finally went to the doctor, I'm like, I don't want to be here. Like, I want to be able to pray my way through it. Yeah. And I was like, guilty. Yeah. I felt guilty because I'm like, I don't want to have medicine. Right. So that's what took me so long to go.
But we've talked about this, like, because I'm right there with you. Like, for me, do I believe in the power of prayer and miracles and the Holy Spirit? 1,000%. Like, you're not going to tell me that, the Lord is like, I know for a fact that God is the ultimate physician. I know that. Right. But I also believe that, and women who are Christians who are struggling with this, because I know I went through it too. Like, I know other women struggle with this feeling.
I feel like I went through it so that I could be there for other people. So before I even had kids, even in high school, which ignorant high schooler me, okay, I thought, it's like, you know what? I don't actually get depression or anxiety. I think it's phony. I think it's baloney. I think people don't know how to deal with certain issues. I think they don't know how to deal with themselves.
You just need to increase your prayer life.
Yes, that was me, and I was ignorant, and I was like, I think that stuff is rubbish. Like, I think it's baloney. Like, I really did. I really thought that, and then after I had Addie, I was like, whoa. And then so throughout, I would say honestly that first year was like the hardest. And that I was upset that it was a year. Honestly, I was like, I feel like this is the longest year of my life. And so when I was praying, I was like, man, I seriously don't understand. And so, I got on medicine and then I got off of it because it was not actually doing any good. And so after that, I was like, okay, I'm praying. And so after all that, now I can say I was closer to God than I had probably ever been. And now I'm like, I can look back and appreciate that I know how to help other people through that.
And that there isn't any shame in asking for medicine to help. Like, ask yourself, maybe that's a good thing. Like, of course, always ask yourself, like, is my prayer life where it needs to be?
Yeah.
Maybe, sitting down and spending time with God is what you need.
Yeah.
I think it can never hurt, ever. It's never going to hurt you.
Yeah.
But as Christians especially, we almost need to be more on guard because you can't just keep making yourself feel like crap and being like, I'm just not praying hard enough. I'm not.
Yeah, and you can't be mad at God because he's not answering you. Because
sometimes God's trying to tell you go to the doctor.
I needed to go through that, not just to be able to help other people, but just so I wasn't so ignorant in the idea of, oh, this is something that people can control and they just won't. Well, that was like a test to go through.
You empathize with that and understand it. Finally.
Yeah, it's just crazy sometimes looking back on things and you're like, okay, I understand why I had to go through that. I understand why this happened, and I'm thankful that I did go through that and that I was close to God through that. And then even now, I can look back and I can thank him for, even though it wasn't a cure, like I he didn't snap his fingers and say, oh, you're all better, you're good. Yeah. I can still look back and appreciate that time where I was closer to him because of it,
And I think that just because you do seek out medical help doesn't take away from like I feel like, there's
God made doctors for a reason.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like he gives us what the best thing you can do is to ask God for wisdom. Yeah. That's the best thing you can do because he will give you the wisdom to say, hey, there's things that will help you with this because like we've taught like that's what this whole thing about with this postpartum thing is it is something chemical up here.
It
is hormonal. And you think about people who already might suffer with depression and don't know it.
Yes.
People who have severe OCD. People who have trauma in their lives. Yeah. They are all, the list is endless. There's so many things that can affect it. Every woman is going to handle postpartum differently. Yeah. Every woman. And there is no shame in if it affects you more heavily than it might someone else. Because it's not your fault. It's not something you're doing wrong.
Your body is going through stuff.
Yes, and you've just got to figure out, okay, I think therapy obviously is a great option.
Having other moms to talk to. Like, honestly, there are Facebook groups, and it's like mom Facebook groups. And I would post in there all the time. I was like, hey, is this normal? Like, how do y'all deal with this? And there were always so many comments and so much support. So I'm like, that is one of the only things that social media is like, I'm like, go pro. Like, this is great that social media is allowing people to communicate and not feel so alone in certain things. Well,
that's one of the things I was thinking about tagging on to the end of this, but this is a good time to just say it now, is that, I understand how awkward it is to talk to people sometimes. Like, you don't want to talk to a stranger, especially about the most intimate parts of yourself. Yeah. But there really are, like, and it sounds so cheesy. Like, I'm not saying, like, you do what you have to do to get through whatever you need to do. Like, I would much rather, and this is where I got emotional today. Like, I got really emotional in the shower because I have, my best friend in the world just had a baby, and I would never, ever forgive myself if I thought for a second that she was struggling and didn't come to me, because it doesn't matter. It does not matter how busy I am. It doesn't matter how overwhelmed I am. Like, I want to be there for somebody. And the reason I wanted to do this podcast so bad was there may only be a few people that listen to it, but I promise you, I will put my number on the screen. Like, same. You don't have to know me personally.
Me either.
Even if you just know of me, you know my name, you know her name. You are never going to annoy me if you are a mother that needs someone to talk to. Yep. Because we love to help other moms.
Just to have someone
each other every day.
We get it. We know what you're going through, and I know how you feel.
It helps so much. Like, and you don't have to call. Like, I'm awkward on the phone. Like,
me too. Oh, yeah.
But just knowing, like, you can shoot someone a text and be like, look, like, can you just like, and I'm not licensed to give you advice or therapy or medical advice, but I want people to know that like, they're really and truly like I'm not a part of a church group that's offering this. I'm not a part of a cult or a club. I'm just a person. I'm just a mom who, it breaks my heart to hear about these things happening to people. And it breaks my heart to think about women suffering with this alone when they don't have to be.
Right.
Like, even if you're in Texas, like, you can text me, and I might not can be there in person.
Right.
But I will at least be someone you can vent to, and with absolutely no judgment. Like, there are some really dark thoughts that can creep into your head.
Yeah.
And I promise you, like, there's nothing you can say that I'm going to judge you for.
Same.
We've all had thoughts we shouldn't have.
Right.
Now, have I thought of hurting my child? No. But I would, to be honest with you, I would never judge someone who had, because I know that postpartum monster is scary.
It is.
And it wraps up your brain and makes you think things that you normally wouldn't.
Right.
And that's why I think this woman, I don't know her story. Like, I don't know what she was suffering with mentally, trauma, whatever, like that list we talked about. But I do know that maybe she just needed someone to say, I promise you can tell me and I'm not going to judge you.
Yeah.
Whatever you're thinking,
even somebody to come and hang out with her kids.
Yes.
Like, hey, I'm so
Give her an
overwhelmed.
afternoon.
Come hang out with my kids.
Just
like,
give her an
or I'm going to
afternoon.
lose it. Like, literally lose it. Well, let me say this first. I think the problem I had the most was I was the first one of our friend group to have kids. And so I didn't have anybody that I knew personally that I could text and be like, hey, what is happening to me right now? So it was like, that even added to, I felt secluded just because none of my friends had kids. So we couldn't go over there and hang out comfortably. And then add on top of that, the postpartum stuff. And I felt lost. And so that's why it's like, even if you don't know somebody, having anybody to talk to is better than having absolutely nobody.
You have your friends, and they're always going to be your friends.
Yeah.
And you're always going to be, friends. Like, and they love you, and they're going to be there for you the best way they know how, but there really is something different about talking to someone who gets it.
Yeah.
And I feel like since I've had a child, we've gotten even closer. I've texted her so many times and said, I understand. I understand why you were like that.
Yeah.
I get it. And I just think, like you said, I was going to bring that up even, that you were the first one of our friend group to have kids, and how lonely that must have felt sometimes. Just because, of course, your friends are there for you. Of course, like, we love you and would do anything for you, but people are only capable to help so much about what they don't know.
Yeah. Like, you really don't get it until you have kids. Like, you can try your hardest, and you can see from the outside looking in what's happening, but there's just something about somebody being able to say, I know what you're going through. I felt it. I understand, and I'm here for you.
Yeah, like, oh, you had a thought about like throwing your kid out the window. It's probably postpartum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's scary. I know what I just said is dramatic, but we're talking about a woman who actually killed her children because of this. So I'm just like, there's nothing funny about it. Like, they're called intrusive thoughts and postpartum, which is a disease that happens. It's a side effect of hormones and giving birth. Those thoughts, take your thoughts and warp them into something that you're not even controlling. You're not even. What matters is, are you acting on that thought?
Right.
How you take that thought captive, and we've talked about taking thoughts captive on this podcast before, and to me, that's where your faith comes in. You have to pray and take that thought captive. But you know what? If you can't do that, and if you don't have the strength to do that, then you should consider going to see a doctor, because maybe there's something out there that could help you control those thoughts more.
There are things out there to help you, and that's what they're for, because you're not the only person like that.
Yeah.
See, I never had like bad thoughts about my kids like that, but like sometimes I was like, man, this feeling is just so overwhelming. Like, I had those thoughts about me, myself.
Yeah, mine, I personally never struggled with thinking like anything towards Jackson. Like, I never blamed him.
Right.
But I would have, for me, a lot of my emotions were guilt-ridden, just guilty, feeling like I'm not being, like I had it today. It was like the smallest thing, but I was trying to rock him today. And he was just being so sweet. He wasn't even crying. He was just like playing with my nose and pulling on my hair and was like, blah, 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 blah. And I'd been rocking him for like 30 minutes straight. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because he used to just go right to sleep, and he's going through a thing right now. And I literally looked at him and I picked him up like this. And I said, Jackson, please go to sleep, son. Just like that. And he doesn't deserve that. But it was just that overwhelming. Like, I have so much to do, and if he doesn't go to sleep, then I'm not going to get it done, and I'm just stressed, and And he's fine. Like, every parent has yelled at their kid.
Yeah.
But that's where my guilt comes in, is I'm just like, I get so emotional because I'm like, I couldn't even control that. Like, it's just, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And everything I'm describing is really mild. Like, I was really blessed to not have a lot of severe postpartum depression. At least I don't think I did. But when you add on, like, mental health issues and someone who might already have depression or OCD or whatever, there's no telling how those feelings are heightened. And I want the people that listen to this just to know that if you're not ready to go to a doctor, that's okay. If you don't want to have to go find a church group to talk to someone because you're not comfortable, that's okay. If you don't want to get on Facebook and talk to a group of strangers, that's okay. But find someone, like, whatever outlet helps you the most as far as socially, like someone that you can reach out to, find that person. And that's why we're offering ourselves, because I know we're just people you might not know, but we're just regular moms who will not judge you at all. And if you just want to text someone at 2 a.m., like, I might be asleep, but if you want to text someone, and especially if you're thinking about harming yourself or your child, there are numbers and hotlines you can call, and I'm going to put those at the end of this video just to make sure that you know that there are places that you can call. But if you just need, like, another mom who understands it, like, I promise, like, it would be my joy to do that.
Same.
It would not be a burden. Because I get it. The reason I'm so emotional about it is because my best friend just had a baby. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she's fine. Like, this isn't about her. It's just the thought that someone I love could be going through this, and they didn't think they could come to me.
Right.
Or someone I don't know. Just, you could come to me. But anyways, I did reach out, and I've even had someone message me as we were doing this.
Nice.
And I just wrote on Facebook, and I said, if you've had a story about postpartum or, like, an experience you want to share, like, message me and let me know, because I just thought that maybe hearing stories from other women and how, like, they're all different, but we all are struggling would help. Like, it just adds to, like, hey, it's not just us. Like, listen to what these people went through. I'm not going to give any of their names out, but I had a girl message me, and she said, hey, I just saw your post about postpartum depression. My child is almost 5 months old, and I personally still struggle with it. It's always personal preference, but the first thing that helped me was medication. Some of postpartum depression can be made worse by circumstances or environment, but meds definitely helped in how I've handled it. There are a lot of women who have great support systems, and my husband has been great, but I've had a lot of issues with others' expectations of me. Expectations that aren't fair, from how I should have recovered to how often I should have allowed people at the hospital. Having a baby is so exciting and wonderful, but I think people can forget that mothers are still recovering from a major surgery or major event from having a baby. I just personally have felt a lot of pressure from people all around me, if that makes sense.
It does. That makes so much sense. Part of what's so stressful are other people's expectations. Yeah. And how you should mother, how you should
society's expectations, too. Like, going back to work. And it's like, I'm so blessed. And you and I both have this luxury, thank God, that we didn't have to go back to a 9 to 5.
Yep.
I could not imagine. I don't think I was fully human again until he was a year old.
Same. I literally, like, seriously, hand claps to all the women who work, because I do not know how you do it.
I don't know how you do it.
And I know I have some friends. And I think
it's absolute bullcrap that people don't automatically have some kind of paid maternity leave.
Seriously.
Yeah. I feel like a man definitely came up with that law.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you had to come and do this, you would understand that minimum, they should get that first year with their baby.
I think so too.
If you can't pay them not to work, like, I get that, it's hard to pay, but, like, there needs to be some kind of plan or something that helps women be able to not have to go broke. Like, because for me, that was something I felt really guilty about. Too. Was
I still do.
Not contributing to the income.
Yeah.
And all of that earning had to be on my husband.
Right.
On top of the fact that I'm dealing with so many other things, recovering from having a baby. And I didn't have a C-section, but I got cut. It had to be stitched, and it hurt. So it's like, it's just so much on a woman. It's like, don't add the fact that I feel so guilty that I'm not contributing financially on top of it. Like, I shouldn't have to worry about that. I'm bringing a life into this world who could change the world someday. Yep. You're welcome. Sorry, that one got me. Okay, this is another one that was interesting. This person said, I ended up with depression that never went away. I got on Zoloft and have had to take it for years now. Almost 21 years she's been taking it. And I thanked her, and she said, I have felt depression all my life, but after childbirth, it was horrible. It's finally under control, though.
That's crazy. See, like you were saying, it could heighten what you've already got.
Exactly. All right. And then this person said, I've had it since my first child. It became more aggressive with suicidal thoughts after my second. Aww. Luckily, I had 2 friends, my mom, my husband, and a fabulous doctor. I'm on 2 different meds, and I have more good days than bad, but when I have bad days, they're very bad, and I'm never alone. You need to find someone to talk to that won't freak out and think the worst. Someone that knows exactly the way you feel, and do not be ashamed to take medicine. It could be your best friend.
There you go. Exactly.
But see, I really appreciated her honesty in that she's like, no, like, when they're bad.
Yeah.
And I need someone who's not going to, like, put me in the psych ward, that's just going to understand it's just a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, we've all had really low lows.
Yeah. Even now, I'm like, I still have, like, they're way more rare, but there are days where they are just bad, where I'm like, wow, I'm just glad I survived the day, honestly.
Yeah. Like, and like, with her, like, I don't know where her head's at. You know, I don't know how bad it is, but I will tell you this much, based on this person telling me this, I commend her, and I'm so proud of her, because judging from her Facebook, I never would have known that.
Yeah.
Never, ever would have known that she struggled with that. And I'm just thankful. I mean, I'm not giving names, but if you listen to this, you know who you are. And I'm really proud of her for like, just owning that. Just saying, like, yeah, no, I have days where it's bad.
Yeah.
And I need people to, like, swoop in and be there. Like, have that support system that's not like, whoa. Yeah. Do you need
like,
to, like,
calm down,
don't
you're
call
okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah,
like,
it's
no.
like, you need to have those people who understand what to say to you and how to handle it, that you can call, and who aren't going to get, like, someone who can be your calm in the storm. Like, I feel like if you don't have the right person for that, someone else could make it worse. You know, if you call the wrong person, like, they can try to call 911 or get you in a psych ward or something. It's like, no, like, it's just a bad day. This is what I need. You know, whatever that is. Again, everybody's different. Everybody needs different things. But, okay. And then this was another one. She said, personally, I wouldn't consider myself to have postpartum depression. However, I do feel like there are feelings that linger long after having my daughter that I didn't expect. She stayed in the hospital for 15 days. In 13 of those days, we thought she could potentially have a major infection. She was taken the morning after I had her, and I remember feeling like I was being crushed by the emotions, the fear, and the anxiety. I was given a piece of paper to fill out 5 questions before being discharged, and the solution to those questions, if you answer yes, is anxiety medicine rather than support. Since our stay, life has been good, and she is perfect and healthy, so no reason to be sad or depressed. However, I definitely experienced what I can best describe as a fog. I remember wondering who I even was anymore, and I didn't recognize my own body, and still to this day struggle sometimes, 7 months later. I've never had feelings or thoughts of harming my baby, but definitely had horrible thoughts about my self-worth. Honestly, I don't think there's enough support out there for new moms, and most people don't notice when someone is struggling because moms are good at putting up a front, and people only care about the new baby anyway.
True.
I have no idea how the U.S. expects new moms to return to work full-time and leave their babies at 6 to 12 weeks old. I chose to take the school year off, but most moms don't have that choice or ability. If I would have had to leave her after 12 weeks, I know without a doubt I would have been in a very dark place. It already gives me panic attacks sometimes thinking about leaving her and going back in August.
Yeah.
And I thanked her, and she said so many people just don't know that it really is how hard it is, and they just expect moms to be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to what we just said. Like, I think similar to, I've always said, like, your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25. I stand by that. I think that's true.
I do too.
I think you're not fully back to recovery, like, and you're never the way you were before.
Never.
You never go back. You're different.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a good thing. Like a good different.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think you're fully healed, maybe is the right word. Leveled out to
mentally stable
until around the end of the first year.
I think so
really,
too.
I think so too. At minimum 6 months for sure.
Yeah.
If you can do no more, if you can't do any more than 6 months, like 6 months is what should be fair for everyone.
I think so.
But
there are some moms,
the whole
though,
first year is a learning curve.
Want to go back to work after 6 weeks.
Yeah,
like,
if you want to go for it.
Yeah.
But I think there should be like more options.
I think so too.
You know, because that whole first year, like, you got to think it. Like, it's like, oh, well, they're sleeping through the night. Like, okay, I can go back to work now. In comes a sleep regression. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Seriously.
never constant. Like, you're just never. And then you get used to being up multiple times a night, and then all of a sudden you're sleeping through the night, and you're like, oh gosh, oh, are they breathing? Are they breathing? Like, it's just such an adjustment. And even now, I'm still adjusting to life with a toddler versus a baby. But you know, I'm figuring it out more. Like, I've leveled out. You know, like I said, I didn't struggle that much, but I just think so much changes in the first year of that child's life. And this is not just talking about first-time moms. Okay, you've got to think. Again, if you've already had a child and then you have another one, you're going through that whole first year of crazy on top of having another child that you're still like, it's just, I can't.
Motherhood is hard. Motherhood is hard.
I can't even talk. I'm just like, the idea of having another one just scares me. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Kids are great, but I'm like, God, this is all
It's
scary
literally
talk.
terrifying.
It is, and that's sad. Is that not sad?
That's
like,
what I said.
There needs to be more support and grace and love and access to help for mothers because it is hard.
Literally the whole time I was pregnant with Adeline, Ozzy's like, why are you so worried about it? You know how to handle a baby. I was like, I'm not worried about the baby. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about how I'm going to be with 2 babies. Right. Like, it's terrifying.
You know, and men probably think this sounds crazy, but like I said, when I went to my 6-week checkup, I was asking about when I could have intercourse again because I was dealing with guilt, feeling like a bad wife. You know, and that's not on Colin. Like, he wasn't pressuring me. Like, it was just me. It was me feeling like I feel so guilty. I haven't been able to do this. So if you're a new mom trying to be a good mom, but you're also still trying to be a good wife, you know, like, of course I'm so thankful for Colin and that I have that support system. But I'm also constantly worried if me being a good mother means I'm being a bad wife.
I get that.
You know? Yeah. I think that's a whole other set of issues
and then
that we deal
so
with.
You're sitting over here worrying if you're a good mom, if you're a good wife, and then who are you? You know?
Am I a good business owner? Am I a good friend?
Like,
Am I a good daughter?
That's my thing, is I'm always like, I feel like I'm just giving all the time, and I'm like, there was a point where I'm like, who even am I? Like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know what I like. Like, even those podcasts, it was weeks ago, probably even a few months, where we were doing those questions, and I was like, wow, I'm boring. Wow. I didn't even know what I enjoyed. I didn't have any goals. Like, I'm boring because my life, honestly, and not in a bad way, just centers around my kids and my family.
With identity.
And that's okay for now. Like, and I'm okay with that right now. I've learned that it's okay if I don't, like, do all of these things. Like, I'm just happy and I'm content, and I'm glad when I get, you know, a few minutes to myself.
Yeah, it's the small victories in a way. Like, you can't, like, it's okay to look forward to bedtime when you get to read, or you get to take a bath, or like, just look for those small little victories, you know. But I think that's, I mean, heck, just to add to the list of things, you're dealing with identity crisis now. Like, your whole identity has changed because now you're someone's mother. I mean, becoming a wife is like, well, I'm a wife, you know, like, it's fun. But becoming someone's mother,
yeah, it's like, whoa, I'm the adult now.
Yeah, like, that's
I'm in charge of these
to raise
children.
A healthy, good human. Yeah, you know?
And then everyone and their mother has something to say about what you shouldn't do.
Yep.
And it's like, that's what's nice is the older I get, because everyone knows I'm a pushover and I'm a people pleaser, and I'm telling you, the older I get, I don't care anymore. We're the peepees. I don't care as much. Like, I haven't figured out a way to let other people know that I don't care what they think as much, but I'm working on it. But I don't care.
Like, you just have to
if I
grow some thick skin and do what's best for you and your family. And there's ways to do that in polite and respectful. You don't have to be a jerk, but don't allow yourself to be a pushover and stand up for what you believe is right. You have to trust your gut. But, you know, when it comes to being a mom, you have to stop, and hear me on this, ladies, because I know that some of y'all are dealing with this. You have got to prioritize yourself sometimes. Like, you just have to. Like, I've talked about this so many times on this podcast that I struggle with feeling guilty when I'm not with him. Yeah. When I ask my in-laws to watch him, my in-laws are watching him right now. And, you know, like, Ozzy was home today, so they got to stay with their dad.
I left them crying and screaming on the floor, and I was like, peace out, Ozzy, have fun.
And it is a little different because that's their dad. Yeah. You know, he should spend time with them. Yeah. For me, it's harder when I feel like, you know, well, they've already raised kids. Like, I don't want to inconvenience them, whatever. Which, again, we've talked about that. They love having him. But if you, especially if you are struggling with dark thoughts, if you are struggling with depression, if you are thinking about harming them or yourself or whatever it may be, you need to have someone someone that you trust to watch your kid. Like, you know, if you can't afford a babysitter, if you live somewhere where you don't have family nearby because you don't have anyone, go join a church. Like, listen to me. Like, anything. Like, I promise you there's an answer. And there are good people out there that you can trust with your children. Because I'm sitting here saying all this, but I have the luxury of my in-laws being down the road. Like, I know how blessed I am for that. I know, like, there are situations where people don't have anyone.
Right.
It's just them and their spouse. And if their spouse is working, they can't, you know, like, I get it. I promise you, I don't get it in the way that I have lived it, that I can empathize, and I hurt because I know how hard it is when you need a break. But there's got to be ways. Like, that's what I want to know. Like, where are the groups? Where are the people who are helping these moms who have no one to give them a break?
Right.
You know, like, people who, you know, like small towns like this, it's like, oh, well, they can go stay with so-and-so. Like, there's 1,000 people around here that can watch Jackson. I'm very blessed. But there are people who, their jobs move them to new cities where they know nobody.
Yeah.
And imagine, I'm just making up a scenario in my head now. Imagine this new mother's, you know, her husband's in the military. And it's just her on base, or not even on base, but she's, you know, wherever, in some random state or country, alone with her baby, and she's having a mental breakdown and knows nobody.
Yeah.
What does she do? There has to be resources for this. Like, it's just... What is she supposed to do? It's like, oh, we'll just get through it. Well, when the dark monster comes into her head that she cannot mentally or physically control, what is she supposed to do? Someone tell me, because I'm asking.
We don't know. We don't know the answer. Huh?
And that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, and it makes me feel almost not selfish. That's not the right word. It makes me feel guilty because of how privileged I am with the support system that I have.
Like, sometimes you don't appreciate what you have enough.
Yeah. Oh, no, I appreciate it. It's more that my heart just breaks for those people who don't have it.
Or you take advantage of how lucky you are sometimes. You know, sometimes you're, oh, yeah.
Like, I guess the best advice I would have is to get out socially and try to, like,
sometimes
meet other
that makes
moms
it worse.
And, like, help each other, though. Like, like if you don't have family near you, find some people who do or who don't, and take turns helping each other. Like, it's like, look, this is going to suck, but could you watch my kid today and I'll watch yours this day, and, like, we'll give each other a break. Like, whatever you need to do. I mean, my gosh, like, what would the alternative be? To go to the ER or something? Like, I don't know. Lock them in their room and have your breakdown, and then put them in a padded room so they don't hurt themselves. The baby, not the mom, but maybe her too. Like, it's not funny though. Like,
it's not funny.
This is just such a serious thing, and I just think that
I say that from experience.
There's got to be groups out there, you know, a group of, like, certified women who will volunteer to help. Like, because some people can't afford a babysitter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, like, tell us what the group's about. Tell us why they're certified. Tell us what their background is. Do background checks. Like, make sure they're not creepy.
Yeah.
Give these women a safe place to drop their kids off that isn't going to cost them an arm and a leg, so that if they need to take a freaking break, they can take a break.
Yep.
Okay.
How often?
Wow, I just got up on the soapbox.
How often do you think moms need breaks? Like, real breaks? Like, you know, we don't want to wait.
How long of a break are we talking? I think once a day they need some peace and quiet.
Well,
at
yeah.
some point,
I mean, like a get out of the house break. Like, we don't want to wait till we're on E to get a break. You need to, like, be like
once a week,
half a tank.
Once a week.
Like, when you realize you're half a tank gone
Yeah.
of your mental capacity, you need to go take a break. You don't want to wait till you're on E. And
I don't see anything wrong with once a week, because then I think it gives them something, like, when if it's Wednesday and they feel like, gosh, I'm just losing it. This has been the longest week. At least they can say, but Saturday I get out.
Yeah.
Saturday I get out and have a girls' day.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, I don't see anything, because it's just like a work week. If you think about it, you have your weekend to look forward to.
True.
Women deserve that same break where it's like once a week, whether it be a random weekday or whatever. Like, you pick a day where it's like, nope, it's my off day, because it's a job. It's a freaking job being
I
a
tell
mom.
Ozzy all the time. It's like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, go ask your daddy. Mommy's clocked out. Like, I can't. I physically
but women
cannot.
deserve that. The same way that people get breaks from their job, we deserve a break too. And ladies, if maybe just sit down with your husband or, like, whoever helps you with your kid and say, hey, can, you know, Sundays from noon to 6 be mom's time, just to get out and go. And if you don't have money to go get your nails done or whatever, just to go to the park and read, just to go eat dinner by yourself, like, whatever you want to do, or to say, get out of the house, I want to sit here alone.
That's
like,
what I want.
That exactly.
I'm like, you take the kids to the park or something.
Having that time to look forward to would really help women, just knowing.
I think so too.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. the week is almost over and I'm going to get my me time. Like, I think all women need that the same way people look forward to a weekend from their 9 to 5.
I think so too.
So, do better, people. Do better, society. Yes, women are drowning over here and quite literally just suffering. Some of them. I mean, but I'm being serious.
No,
like,
I know.
Like, there's like, haha, I'm suffering. And then there's
suffering.
like, oh my gosh, there's really women out there suffering. And I just think there needs to be a different standard for this. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I'm just grateful that, honestly, social media has been an outlet for some people. I honestly don't know how women years and years and years ago did it. They probably felt so alone because they're like, whoa, this can't be normal.
And you're not. It's just so normal. It's so normal. Yeah. Even the darkest of thoughts, someone probably thought, you know? So I'm going to put it up here again. And you're okay with your number too?
Absolutely. Go for it.
I'm going to put my name and Cammie's name and our phone number. Write it down. Put it in your phone. Do not be afraid to text either one of us. Like, we're not big talkers on the phone, but if you really need to talk, you can call. Like, but texting,
just know I'll be awkward if you call me, but I will answer.
But we will answer. But when it comes to texting, especially, like I would love if someone reached out to me. Yeah, you know, just to say, hey, like, help. You know what I mean? Like, I just with these thoughts, like. But if you feel like you're struggling with something a little darker and you need professional help, I'm gonna put something up. I haven't even found it yet. I'm gonna do some research on a number, but I'm gonna put it up here for a number you can call that is more of a, like, you're in a dark spot and need to talk to a professional, okay? Not us. Like, we are not therapists. We are not professionals. And if you are having thoughts of hurting yourself or your children or someone else, then there's nothing to be ashamed of, but you do need to talk to someone. So please reach out and just get the help. That's what it's there for, is for you to take the help. So mamas, we just got to support each other. That's just all there is to it. I support you.
I support you.
And I love you.
I love you too. Call me whenever you need me.
I do.
I prefer you to text me, but you can call me.
Or Snapchat story. We do that too.
Or the voice memos.
Voice memos.
Those are the best.
Send us a voice memo. That's my kind of thing.
So easy.
Right,
I'm like, ooh, oh, okay.
And then you just say it back. Yeah.
I love that.
All right. Maybe next podcast will be lighthearted because this one was
I
the
doubt
heaviest.
If you make me cry for a third podcast,
I cried this time though.
I know, I'm proud of you.
We love you, Katie.
We love you.
Again, not that Katie's suffering from postpartum depression. She's fine. We just know she had a baby.
Being a new mom is hard, period.
It's hard. And we love you and miss you. All right, we're going to go now. Have a good week, everybody.
Peace out.
If you or someone you know and love is struggling with postpartum depression or any other type of depression, please give them this number so that they can call and get the help that they need, especially if they are considering harming themselves or harming anyone else. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Mom Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and turn on those notifications so you never miss a new upload. See you next time.